You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Turn After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Turn After Show.
I don't want to hush. Are you kidding me? My heart is racing.
Nothing happened.
Nothing major this week. No big deal. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV Turn, Episode 10, the Battle for Setauket. God, we are mind blown. I'm going to scream a lot this week.
Is your heart beating because of the episode or because of the
I had a bunch of cookies. The episode got me fired up. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Hooks, here today to talk about Turn. Joining me on the panel, as always, we have a great, it's beautiful in here. Every single week. I'm such a lucky guy to have all these good-looking women around me. I tell you. To my left, Captain Joyce.
Hello, hello.
Across the table, Lieutenant Megan Salinas.
Hey, guys.
And, of course, General Kristin Carole.
Hey, everyone.
So, as you know, here at AFTERBUZZ TV, we like to do our best to get lots of cool guests for you. We got two amazing guests this week. Joining us in the studio this week, we have the brand new Commander, Idara Victor.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you here. And on the phone, we've got Robert Beitzel, Selah Strong.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going, guys?
So, we're all in shock. Our hearts are racing. I'm all sugared up on cookies. And we've just got so much to talk about this week. I'm starting to sweat. Like, I don't even know what's going on here.
I think we need to cut off your sugar intake, right?
I'm going to water it down a little bit over here.
Well, and specifically, Rob, I mean, your character, we hadn't seen, obviously, a lot of him, and then he just shows up and just kind of takes over. It was
like
amazing.
A boss.
Like a boss.
Your kiss to Anna, I was like, yes, she screwed Abe a few days ago, but, you know.
And he shot the sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's out for something.
Oh, yeah.
I was excited as soon as I was like, what are they painting on the sign? I don't get it. Even though I knew that Zhang owned the tavern now, it didn't click until you shot a hole in it.
Yeah, right. It was interesting because the sign was painted on both sides, and when we shot it, we looked around on the other side and went, oh well, it didn't really work on the other side, but it looks good from this side.
Did you actually get to shoot the sign? Was that something you did, or that was that kind of different cut so it looked?
Oh no, that's all special effects. I didn't actually get to put a rifle round through the whole.
This is television.
Sign,
Nobody really
that would have
gets
been
shot.
cool though. That would have been really cool.
Next time, be like, I want to actually shoot something.
Yeah.
I think everyone.
Give me live weapons, guys. Come on, I'm trustworthy.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
No.
One can only hope, though. So tell us a little bit about. So this week you came back with a vengeance, and we didn't really know what to expect with your character because you've been kind of distant in the last few weeks and sort of dazed still, even from being on the Jersey. What was that like to actually, you get to be your character this week?
Yeah, well, it was cool. They gave me a lot of stuff to work from there. I mean, Selah, the real guy, he was actually imprisoned on the Jersey, and early on when we shot the pilot, I was talking to Craig about it, and we were discussing how, as we researched the Jersey more and more, and the prison ships over there, how horrific they were, and we came back when they brought me back in. Sure enough, we were on the prison ship again, and he was writing in kind of how terrible that stuff was. So, and then getting off of it, there was a lot to work from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we even saw like the episode they showed you when you first came back in. Ian Khan was in the studio, and he was talking about like how horrified he was even just watching the episode. So couldn't even imagine what it was like in real life. A, being on set, and B, being on the Jersey. What kind of stuff when you were researching did you find about your character and the Jersey?
Well, Selah did actually was imprisoned there. He nearly starved to death. I think that what was in historically, Anna actually brought him food. It was incumbent upon the people that had the prisoners on the ship to actually feed them. It wasn't actually the British responsibility to feed the prisoners. It was the Continental's responsibility to come and bring food to their own prisoners that were imprisoned by the enemy. So the Continental Army had to feed all their soldiers on the ship, which just wasn't happening because they had people starving in Valley Forge, and their quartermaster just couldn't do that at all. So people were starving to death. You had about 8 people dead per day on the Jersey, and it was really horrific conditions. And Anna did actually plead with and pull some political strings in order to get Selah released. So there is a lot of parallels with the story as it's told, but it's also a very unique way of telling the story. I mean, granted, what we know is from documents, and so this is a very unique way of saying this is how those documents came to be.
So there's some truth and some fiction, obviously, in that. It's always good in a show when they have that kind of parallel where there's characters that are real characters, because a lot of the characters in the show were real people, but then they have this intermixing of characters that are fictional, so for the storytelling purposes, that we can create this great story and this great flow. Did you lose any weight or anything when you were getting in this role?
I did. I don't know if that really came off much on
I'm not saying
camera.
that it did. I'm just asking. Sometimes when you're on a prison ship, that's the first thing you think of is, oh, did they lose weight?
It was. I wanted to. I felt this responsibility to do justice to the story of these prisoners that experienced this really horrendous thing that happened, and is kind of forgotten in American history. It's not something that I knew about before taking on this role, and Seth, who plays Ben Talmadge, actually pointed out to me that the monument that's in Washington Square Park or Fort Greene Park in Brooklyn is actually to the prisoners of the prison ships of the Revolutionary War. And so I went by and checked that out and did all this research and realized that, this story hasn't been told, and it's kind of being told through me, so I better do a good job. So about 10 days before I went on a liquid fast in order to...
Sounds tough.
Yeah, that's
that thing. And, yeah, that's not something I recommend. It's pretty tough.
Unless you really want to cut down.
Yeah.
Get beach ready.
Yeah, well, wanted to get to that, hollow cheek level. It wasn't quite, McConaughey and Dallas Pirates Club.
Well, I'm curious to know, like we said earlier, we didn't get too much of Selah before the Jersey. How do you think he would have been if he never made it to the Jersey, and if he just stayed in Setauket this whole time?
Well, he started out as a patriot. He was a member of the Provincial Congress, or the delegate to the Provincial Congress. So, he was painted as this rather idealistic, staunch, fiery guy. So, I don't know how much longer he would have made it. Clearly, at the beginning of in the pilot, he wasn't too thrilled about all the redcoats and folks just encroaching on his bar and his lands, and so it's I think he probably would have ended up there one way or the other, or in similar situations, because he really was not having much of it, and
he just always had that in him.
Yeah, he was in history. He was a militia commander in the Battle of Brooklyn, and that's why he was. That's why we think that he was actually arrested and sent to the Jersey. So, he was kind of a rebel through and through. In that, he was very idealistic, and that's, I think, where Craig pulls the writing of making him this kind of firm, staunchly patriotic guy, which is something that I kind of latched onto and identified with the character. Justice must be done, sort of thing.
And that's interesting that you say that about the militia commander, because none of us knew that. But as we were watching the episode, we're all like, was he military? Did he have any kind of training? Because, the way you took command of the field and took the guys up the left flank, and gave off that position idea, the way you were commanding the soldiers as well. And that just came across very well in the writing and in your acting. So that's interesting to actually find out that he really was as part of a militia before that. Yeah,
I think that's another thing that Craig wanted to include in there, was that he was a militia commander, and he's also an educated guy and a well-to-do guy. So he's an intelligent sort of person that I think would grasp leadership and military tactics rather quickly. And he did have a month in the military leading up to this, and it is his hometown. So I think that he was pretty quick to just take the lead when presented.
I have a question about how you played tonight specifically. I kept watching Selah to kind of see how he was looking at Abe, and I don't know if I had the feeling that he was just looking at Abe because of how everybody in the town's now viewing him as somebody who's on the side of the British and rule, if you were looking at him that way, or if you if his character suspected that something was going on between Abe and Anna. How did you play that? Because there were a couple of camera back and forth between Selah and Abe a couple of times, and I was just wondering, was that I know what you're up to with my wife, or is that kind of I know what side you're on, or think I know what side that you're on?
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think there's a few moments in there that are sort of different things, because one moment is about the attainder, and which was signed by Abe's father with the judge who kind of sold away my land. So he's pissed about that, but at the same time, if you remember the pilot, I did ask Abe to look after Anna for me in my absence, which
he's doing.
Supposedly he did. So
he's taking real good care.
I think there's this dichotomy of how Selah feels about Abe. It's like, well, thanks for looking after my wife, but you also sold all my land, you jerk.
And my property and my crops.
Right. So I don't know where it will end up going. Obviously, at the end there, it's a whole other story.
Yeah, seeing them embrace.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about getting to play this character? Clearly, it's very, there are multiple layers to this character with his education background, what he's been through on the Jersey. What in particular do you kind of latch onto?
I think that he's this archetypal patriot, which there's all these different characters within the story of the series, which are great and brilliant, and I'm horribly jealous of the other actors who are also all brilliant, and they get to portray some really cool characters as well. But I've been, I guess, graced with this archetypal patriot guy who, there were many, of course, but we get to at least tell that side of the story through Selah. You have Ben Talmadge, who is certainly the golden boy, but Selah was the landowner who just, wanted to make it on his own, and it's kind of that quintessential American beginning, rebel, and that really interests me. He's idealistic and gets to stand up for what he believes in, and certainly pays the price for it, and then and has to find the strength within himself to continue through. There was this thing about Samuel Talmadge, Ben's brother, who we never meet, but I was imprisoned with, and he convinced us to continue to pray in order to hold fast in the Jersey and maintain our humanity and maintain our resistance. And I really kind of latched onto that sort of thing and started using prayer in a much different way than prayer is normally used. And that's kind of neat. I like doing that.
So I have a difficult question for you, since this is one I like to ask everyone who's been calling in. You talked about all the great actors that are on this show and all the great characters.
I know what's coming.
Who? You don't have to say an actor.
Well, we have one in studio too, so keep
yes.
that in mind.
What's your favorite character
Choose
on this show? Because I think we all have our favorites, right?
Right. I knew this question was coming, Ryan. I knew it because I've been listening to you guys.
It comes every time.
You're awesome, and I love you.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you.
So I knew this question was coming. Now, yes, I think that all the characters on the show itself, and it's impossible for me to say, this is my favorite character, because the actors that are portraying them
are doing so well.
Doing such an amazing job. I will say that when I read the book, before we even started shooting the pilot...
Are you talking about Washington Spies, or...?
Washington Spies. When I read through Washington Spies and saw the characters in there, before I saw what anybody did with their character, the one that jumped out at me, which was just like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I can't wait to see what happens with that, was Robert Rogers.
Nice.
I was like, that guy is interesting. and a close second was Caleb Brewster. They're kind of cut from the same cloth.
A little bit, little
It's the
rebel.
bearded men. Ryan's favorite.
Listen, I've got the playoff beard going on right now, okay? So we're in deep with the beard. LA Kings up 2-0 on the Rangers. Take that, Robert Rogers.
There's a playoff all the time, right? At some point, so
Right.
just keep the beard for all of them.
Real men have beards. That's it. That's all I'd say. Every week. So those are actually great choices. We love every character in this show. Yes. Unfortunately, we can't pick a favorite, so don't ask us. But that's all right.
That's how we should end
it. It's impossible to pick a character that's actually out of the television show, because I think that what everyone is doing, what Samuel has done with Simcoe, what Byrne does, he amazes me. Everybody from beginning to end, it just does such a great job. I love what Heather does. She's amazing to work with, all of them, and it's really tough when it comes down to that.
Yeah, they're all really great.
All right, so I have one more question, and this is the new one. So this is the season finale, obviously. So we're all hoping for season 2. We have no official word. Our fingers are all crossed. So
knock on wood.
If there's season 2, what do you foresee wanting your character to do, or the development of your character in the next season?
Wow. I have no. I hope that I would hope to get some more military responsibility, because that's fun to do.
So do you foresee then? And I was thinking that as you were leaving on the boat, yourself in a role with Ben and Caleb somewhere in their militia, potentially getting a role with Washington even.
That would certainly be a lot of fun. I must say that when we started, when we shot the pilot, I never thought in a million years that I would get to work with Seth or Daniel, because their stories were kind of on the opposite side of where my character was, and I just didn't think that they would wind it that way, and they're great, and sure enough, when I came back, that was the first thing I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" So, yeah, I hope that I get to do a lot more with them, and cross paths with Angus a bit. That would be a lot of fun. But I have no idea what's in store. Clearly, there's some scores left to settle.
Because that creates an interesting parallel if that happens, because the relationship that Caleb and Ben already have with Abe, because they're friends. Now you have this contrasting relationship because of what's going on with him and Anna that you are now aware of.
Yeah, what Selah needs to do is go home.
Get off the whooping stick.
Be home with Anna. Exactly.
It's true, and unfortunately, he's he won't be able to go back to Setauket until the British are out, because he's a wanted man, as it were. So it's it's a conundrum.
Well, all right. That about wraps up our time with you, Robert. I appreciate you so much for calling in. Thank you, and definitely good luck. Before we go, though, I hear you're getting cast in a movie. Is that?
I'm actually up in the Catskills right now. We just shot our first day, so that's why the cell reception is
that's
so
awesome.
bad where I am.
Any teases about the movie you can give us?
Yeah, it's a cool independent called My First Kiss and the People Involved, and it's kind of this psychological thriller that's told through the eyes of an autistic girl.
Excellent.
That sounds really interesting.
So, and then where else can the fans find out like more information about you? Website, Twitter? We know you're not on Twitter, but
Sure. Yeah, the Twitter that I promise to try to use more is Abandon Station at Abandon Station, and yeah, that's pretty much my location.
Cool. Well, then, again, thank you so much for calling in, taking the time to chat with us. We appreciate you, and great job on the show this week. We look forward to seeing you in season 2.
Yeah.
Well done.
Guys, thanks for having me. You're all awesome.
Thanks for calling
doing
in.
the show. You're doing a great work.
We'll
and
be
I hope
back
that
next
we
season.
got more to give to you.
Yeah, we'll be here, you know, fingers crossed. And I did look up again, there were a couple articles about you guys getting onto Netflix, so hopefully that'll also push into a season 2. So
Indeed.
Then we can watch all 10 episodes at once.
Yes,
That'll
can't
be
wait
awesome.
to binge. This is going to be great.
All right, thanks, Robert. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, great. You too. Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
That was great.
All right, so before we move on, we have a couple things to cover. While you're over there, feel free to hold that up.
Light the book a little bit.
Maria Menounos' new book, Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, is now in stores. You can get yours today.
I'm waiting for mine to come because I actually am supposed to get one. So
I'm,
Yay.
you know,
I'm
I feel
really
like
excited. After I looked at these pictures earlier with the food, where is it? Oh my God, it looked amazing.
So
Now I can't
I
find
have
it.
to believe that there's a lot of great information in the book because I've been with Maria before and seen her eat. And the crap that she puts in her body and looks like that, there has to be like gold information in there. Because like one time I went to an event and she ate like 2 plates of potato skins.
Oh,
And just like absolute, are you kidding me?
And
You
then
ate
looks
that?
like
and,
that.
And you look
and
like
who
that.
doesn't want to look like that?
Exactly. So
She's been out promoting it. I actually at work, I work at E. I had to like transcribe like her whole interview and she was talking about it. One of the things I started doing is like she just like does squats and lunges just kind of randomly
all the
throughout
time,
the
yeah.
house.
When she's standing around, she'll
Yeah,
just do squats
I would
and
start
lunges.
doing it when I'm brushing my teeth now because I heard of that. I'm like, well, I'm just standing there anyways. Might as well you
Might
just
as well
squat.
make use of that
calories.
time.
My boyfriend's gonna look at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing crunches right now.
Micro crunches.
Really getting to the
so
core.
fast. We can't
Yeah,
even notice.
exactly.
Like squeezing it in.
I'm gonna walk away from that one. And then I believe we have something from Roya as well.
Yes, you do. It's our lovely American Express commercial.
All right.
let's,
Which you can use to buy Maria's new book.
Yes,
Get
nice
some-
little segue
Two
there.
birds, one stone, you guys.
Well, let's listen to this little commercial real quick, guys.
My name is Yvonne Saravia, and I am a home health aide. My credit score was very high. It was like 700 something. Then I had like a hiccup in my finances. Everything just crashed. But I don't crawl under a rock and cry. It takes baby steps to get back. So that's what I am doing.
With American Express Serve, you have a full-service prepaid account that helps you handle your money simply and affordably. There's no credit check. You can pay your bills online and reload cash for free at over 15,000 locations, all for $1 a month, and all backed by the 24/7 service of American Express. This is what membership is. This is what membership does.
Get started with an American Express Serve card at CVS Pharmacy or Family Dollar today. Terms and restrictions apply. Go to serve.com for more details.
Rob, like,
Yeah.
Hey, we're back. We're having a. So, Commander Victor, thanks for joining us. You look
Thank
great.
you for having
I love
me.
your dress.
Oh, thank you.
Dressed
The only one that
It's like
hasn't picked a side.
Yeah.
there's
I
more
haven't.
blue
Yeah.
in your dress, so you're probably.
You're on our side.
I'm on. Yeah, I think I'm on the blue side.
If you're listening
like
to
an-
us on iTunes, 3 of us are wearing blue, 1 of us is wearing red. I won't say who's who.
And it was accidental.
I think
but
you guys know what it means.
I-
it clearly shows what sides we're on.
It's true. Well, I keep it neutral.
Well, to be fair, I tried to do red, white, and blue. Attempted. I
To be
attempted.
fair,
Okay.
to be fair, it's fine. So when I was talking earlier to Rob, we were talking about characters and favorite characters in the show. And whenever we talk about John Andre, Megan gets red. So, well, let's make Megan a little bit red. Yeah, tell us about John Andre.
Why do you get red, Megan? I'm curious.
Sorry, guys, I was trying to
Megan's
laugh.
favorite character is Major John Andre.
Why wouldn't it be, though?
Because he's a dreamy.
He is.
They make fun of me for it every single episode.
I have to bring it up at least once.
Yeah.
So,
Even Ian knows.
yeah, everyone knows. So
Even General Washington made fun of me.
It's the blonde little pony.
It's it's the braid.
the single,
It's really
The Jedi
edgy.
braid.
The Legolas.
edgiest braid on the show.
There was nothing like watching that braid get attached in my hair. I would literally stop everything and just be like, it's happening. It's happening right now. He was amazing.
So we've talked in length about the relationship that we're seeing develop between you and your character Abigail and him.
Yes.
And potentially what's going to happen with you spying or not spying because of how nice John Andre is to you.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Tell me some more.
We can talk about it.
Throw me a bone here.
Well, oh my gosh. Okay, so we spent the entire of episode 6 basically hounding the producers to be like, so what's going to happen? So what does it mean? And they would give us nothing. So what JJ and I kind of figured is just that, each of them have their own reasons for whatever they're doing, right? So, I mean, Abigail, when she says the whole thing about her son's birthday, yes, her son's birthday is coming up, but it was clearly to just create this passage of like, okay, I can send messages this way, and it worked, and John Andre, for whatever reason, is being really nice. And I don't know. JJ, however, is extremely adamant that John Andre have this nice side, that he truly does believe in the abolition of slavery, and he is just... and John Andre does in general. I feel like he is nice with pretty much everyone.
And
that's like his MO. That's how he kind of gets things done.
Other guests have commented on historically Major John Andre and how respected he was by everyone else.
Right.
Just a fun guy. He started that theater troupe with Simcoe. I mean,
I think he's just a gentleman.
He throws a good party.
Yeah, exactly.
Frat party.
Yeah, and so I think that his, I'm just glad that he was respectful of Abigail so far, because he is kind of a. Lothario. He kind of gets around. Right. He likes to do his thing, and so
you see all the ladies coming in there now, and you have to clean up or after them. You're like, I don't know, stay away from that.
I don't know if I'll join quite yet, if at all. Yeah. So he does. He has that reputation, and I don't know that it's exclusive to the ladies, to be honest. I think John Andre kind of does what he wants to do.
He dabbles wherever you
I think he kind of does. Yeah,
just likes to have a good time.
He's into the arts.
Down for a good time.
He's into the arts.
Yeah, he's creative. So I think there's so much room for where that relationship can go, but it definitely makes the job for Abigail a little harder. I just don't think, as of now, it doesn't make it that hard, because at the end of the day, Cicero is her main goal. That's her main goal, is to get back to Cicero. And so whatever she needs to do that, she's like, okay, you can be nice, sir, but getting to Cicero,
And so last week we had Aldous Hodge in the studios, Jordan, and we talked a little bit about slavery and the issues there, and how with England, slavery is already abolished at this point. So we see a lot more sympathy from all the British redcoats because it's an illegal activity to them, whereas it's not in America yet. And, we see that in the relationships that you have, but we wonder how that will affect down the road. Again, with, is Cicero going to be the major issue, or is because you are free with him, now are you going to want to stay? Bring Cicero to you.
That is a good question. Well, the thing is, am I really free? I mean, at John Andre's, I am free, but I have to be there, and I think the goal is, if everybody's free in Setauket and Cicero's with Anna, my goal, I think, is to get to Cicero, because in Setauket we can truly be free. In New York, bringing Cicero to an environment where, you have to understand, my first week there, I see people getting murdered at the dinner table.
In the neck.
Yeah, so I'm not keen on bringing Cicero there. And New York is a very different environment. We're country people. We've been in Long Island our whole lives, and I don't know that I'd necessarily want to bring Cicero to that environment. And what I've seen from the men, I rode by and saw Jordan with those men working for the British Army, so it doesn't seem like it would be a very positive thing for me to have my son there as like a possible, person that they can take on as well to come work for them. So I don't know that I think it's more that I'm trying to get away, but I'm not. But I'm playing my cards right. It really does have to do with like how I can be of value to them, and in that house I'm of value.
Mm-hmm. You might be free to think and say what you want, especially in front of John Andre. But in terms of just being completely free, I think being in New York definitely would be conducive to that.
Yeah, and certainly I think if I were to be able to get away from John Andre's house, sure. But if I were in New York and he's from New York and he's, lives in New York, I would think that I couldn't like escape John Andre's house. He'd have to pardon me somehow.
You're better to stay there.
I'd be much better off staying there, yeah.
And then what about Jordan? Do we see anything with that? He tried.
He did.
Well, I was
He
still
didn't make
wondering-
a good attempt, though. He could have been a little bit more
He
chivalrous.
could have been a little bit, more tactful, a little bit more respectful.
Yeah.
He should have brought you some squirrels at least. I don't know. He's doing that for Rogers.
Thank you. It's like we're in the house. He saw where we're living. Like he's coming with the whole stew that's outside. I'm like, where's the food for inside?
Exactly.
But he showed up. I think that Abigail and Jordan definitely had a flirtatious relationship. I mean, in that episode, we shot a few scenes that didn't make it in the final cut that were, them definitely flirting. And Abigail enjoys the flirtation. But when he stepped that hard towards her, like, okay, now I'm going to actually, be with you. That now bumps up against a lot of things because Abigail was married. Abigail sort of does still have an allegiance to Cicero's father in a way. And I think that, she is torn like every woman. If a man says, well, you're going to wind up alone, you're kind of like, am I? Like she's a little bit scared of like, well, what are my possibilities, in terms of having a man in my life? I mean, I think that Jordan is somebody who they got along. I think that they could very well have a romantic relationship down the line, but I think he would have to prove himself a little differently. He was a little rude.
Well, maybe he'll learn some things from Rogers then about how to treat a woman.
Again, I was really hoping, since we had that small scene with John Andre, with Robert Rogers, that we'd at least see, you're wandering around the house somewhere, Jordan can't be too far from wherever Rogers is. So that's something, if it did, it picks up for season 2, maybe you guys run into each other outside. There's a lot of things that could happen with that.
Very possible. Very, very possible.
All right, so we've got a lot to talk about, very little time to do it. Let's talk about the episode, because so much happened.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Were you not watching the episode in there?
I was just eating cookies.
I was in a sugar coma. So the episode picks up with Mary reading the book by the fire, talking about 711, George Washington, and all of our friends. And
she figured it out
she
for
knows.
sure.
So she knows because it has people's names in there that she knows.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Brewster, she calls out.
Yeah.
I'm nervous at this point.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, especially because how they showed it, we had talked about kind of the duality and the back and forth between stuff that they've started doing a lot. And when she's reading it, it's like the book and then the flames, and it's kind of, you can see her stewing, and you're like, you knew the book was going to get burned at some point based off of that, because she did not look happy.
No.
And just the camera work and everything.
Yeah. I don't mean to jump ahead, but her character totally, switched gears from from being really angry at Abe about this whole thing, and then kind of covering up for him.
She knows how to clean up a mess.
Yeah.
I think that was more than anything. I don't think, you don't want to scorn a wife, you don't want to piss her off too much, because I don't think she's going to let this go still. I don't think this is like all is forgiven.
I don't think
this is like, I need to keep my husband with my kid.
It's for her family's sake. I don't think she's trying to protect Abe per se. I think she's just trying to protect her life, her family, which is what she believes in, like she's told in this episode.
That was her being exactly who she said she was.
Kind of selfish motives, but still it's helping her family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she let's be honest, she saved the day at the end.
She did.
At end of the day, regardless of what her reasons are, she saved him.
Yeah.
But
I would have been interested to see like what Anna would have done in the place, and which one would be a better option for Abe to be with. Like, would Anna have saved the day quite like how Mary did?
I don't know. It's tough
That's
to
a
say.
good question, because I do think that Mary, I think you're right. I think it is based on like the family thing. I mean, Mary has devoted her entire life to that. You know, even when she has that question earlier in the season where she's like, she turns to Baker and she's like, well, you know, did your parents marry for love or for duty? You know, did their families set it up? And it's like she literally has given up her life for this thing that she now has to protect. So
Shout outs to Thomas Keegan this week.
Yeah.
Taking one for the team. For weeks, we have been talking about Baker and hoping that he and Mary hook up.
He was my favorite.
And he's
Brit.
cut short. Thomas,
He was too nice.
You'll be missed.
That's what happens,
Nice
right?
guys
When you're
finish
too nice.
That's
on
right.
You know,
I know. I tweeted at him right before the show, and it just said no with exclamation points, and he tweeted me back something to talk about this week.
Oh,
So,
that was heartbreaking. That was a really hard scene to watch.
Yeah.
but we knew it was coming. I've been saying every single week that everything that's happened with Abe has been building up to something with him climaxing where he's gonna kill someone.
Where he takes a life.
Where he
It was
is
an
now.
evolution.
I don't know if
for
I would
his
have taken
violence.
like a bet on like it being Baker. though.
Right. No, I wouldn't have betted on Baker
We all
either.
thought that this was kind of building up to a big old confrontation with Simcoe.
Or someone else.
Or somebody else. I didn't think it was going to be the man who was, you know, hanging out in his house and giving him relationship advice.
Stop
and,
showing up.
You know, saying, you know, I hold your family up to this standard. You know,
It is a house of love.
heartbreaking.
There was kind of some. Now that I think about it, think back on it. There was kind of some foreshadowing with Baker dying when. Who was it that pointed the gun at him? Was it Selah in the house where they were being held?
When he grabbed him?
Yeah. Oh no, it was Caleb.
that Caleb? Yeah,
Caleb pointed the gun at him. So I didn't think of it then, but now I look back and I'm like, okay, maybe they were trying to give us a hint.
When we do get a chance to rewatch this series, is it for sure going to be on Netflix?
I saw 2 different articles that said it was headed there.
I really can't wait to like go back and rewatch everything because I want to see if they like maybe planted the seeds of this earlier on as well.
I have them all on my
Maybe.
DVR.
Yeah, me too. You know, it's interesting because he keep showing up at inappropriate times. So why not have a fitting moment where he shows up at the end of
It's
the
not
season?
out of the blue, out of the
That
character.
is the story of his life.
I
He's in
know
the
when he
wrong
says that,
place
it's
at the wrong time.
so sad. He's like, wherever I'm not wanted. I'm like, no. And he's an orphan, and it's very.
Yeah,
And I think
boo-hoo.
he
That means
knew,
nobody will
too.
miss him.
He knew too that this was
No,
either
we
going to
will.
end with Abe dying or with him dying. And if he had wanted to, he could have pulled out his gun right then and there before Abe noticed him and shot Abe. But no, I think he knew that like this was the end for him.
Well, and I think a lot of, as we've seen with everybody except Simcoe on the British side, they all have their honor with all of it. So it's not like I'm not just going to shoot you in cold blood. It's there's a structure to it, and there's honor, but you know, in doing all of this, there's
And
that sort of a thing.
He did die honorably because he said, you know, I have to turn you in.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna not turn you in. I have to do that. That's my duty to the British and to this, you know, where I'm sworn in the crown. And he followed through with that all the way to the end.
And now that we know Mary's going to protect her family, not say anything, he was the only person that had to be gone.
Yeah.
So Abe is safe for now, yet again.
Even though he just looked crushed with what he had done too. You know, he was sobbing when, you know, shaking him, going, "Mr. Baker."
Well,
And
his life has changed so much since, you know,
and his personality.
the beginning of the show.
And we've known for weeks and weeks and weeks that he's not a killer, and so this just crushes him.
Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see, you know, again, if there's a season 2, how that affects him, because I think he's gonna end up causing trouble because he'll just
unravel
manifest.
at some point.
Well, we even, like I said, we saw it a lot in this episode because so in the plot, obviously we haven't covered a ton of that, so let's talk about it right now. You know, Caleb and Ben bring all these troops on, you know, their own authority basically to attack the town because they're holding Caleb's uncle and they're holding Ben's dad hostage, and they're gonna kill them or hang them from word of some friends. And they bring all these troops basically to attack the town to get them free. And that was the whole plot. So they're held up in the storehouse. And in this town, Abe steps up and he has this kind of ruse going on where he's like, you know, hey, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to tell you something.
Well, they all know each other. They all grew up together.
Well, they know, but then like they're doing this whole act for the people around them, which I thought was kind of funny because you can see them like sort of smiling about it as they're doing it, but not.
And I love how Abe walked into the other room, but he did that sort of half-ass run like you do when you run off stage.
Yeah, like, oh.
But if you notice, he's still kind of like punch Caleb.
He
Like,
went after
hey, you
Caleb.
punched me, man.
Dick.
Like, I'm going to get back at you. That was not cool.
Well, that and he's probably pissed too because he's like, you guys aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah,
really-
I just fixed stuff. Your dad almost messed things up, and now you're messing things up. I gotta stop hanging out with the Talmadges.
Talmadge, just shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Stay out of it. Let us
Jeez.
handle it.
Samuel was the only good one.
Oh, what, too soon?
I like Ben.
It's like 300 years
good
now?
ones.
Yeah.
Samuel, Thomas, yeah, and now Baker.
Why did the good die so young?
That's right. So I like the ruse, the whole thing with, and then they're in the basement talking. It's like, oh, the gang's all back together. Let's plot some more. But we
This is the first time we've seen them all together.
At once,
though.
right.
This the first time all season that they've all been in one room on screen. So it was really great to see, the four of them talking and, getting everything out onto the table.
Because
and
they're the
everything.
ones that know what's up, like, completely.
Yeah.
For both sides.
It's good too. Yeah, there's not as much, lost in translation either. They're all able to just talk right
They can
there.
clear the air,
with each other.
they,
and just,
they know the story about Samuel dying and Selah still being alive and why they didn't tell them and
yeah.
all that stuff happened. The book got burned. Do you think that's the worst possible thing, though, that the book got burned?
Well, no, it hides the evidence.
I think that's the best scenario for Abe, that it got burned.
Hopefully he had practiced, like gone through it.
I'm sure he's probably memorized it at this point.
At least all the important people he can remember.
711.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
And-
I know. It's like 711 and 722.
And now all the critics who have been complaining about Culpepper are gonna, it's been fixed. It's now Culper, which is historically accurate. But according to Washington, it was Culpepper.
I don't
love
like
how Abe
Culpepper.
hated it. Yeah, he's like Pepper. Like what do you mean Pepper?
What? I don't get it.
What is
Culpepper.
this?
Peter Piper
What is
Pickle.
this? Peter Piper. Yeah.
It's fine. So I don't even know where to go. There's so much still to talk about.
We can talk about what Simcoe did.
Went crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause-
That was an amazing
well, it was
scene.
It was a smart move for Selah to take that group that they were able to, it was a good
That flanked
strategy
them, right.
that kind of, gets, turns the, tables on
It
on
turned
the
the
British.
table?
I know. I actually thought to go there.
Everyone
They're
does.
very punny on this show.
No, I love it.
But yeah, it was just, I think Simcoe had, in his way, been trying to be quiet about it. I mean, he killed a horse and all that stuff, and
Killed
that
a
didn't
horse,
work.
he had a
and-
man shot.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody, Abe suspected him, but nobody outright, said
Proved it
anything
or
to him.
accused him.
And I think he kept trying different ways to do this, and finally he just snapped.
He just snapped. He's like, whatever, I'm ordering this. I'm ordering that these guys get hung. And, that way, he wanted to see Ben, watch his father get hanged. This whole thing has been so personal. It's been boiled down to a bunch of personal vendettas as opposed to, the cause as a whole.
And he was hoping that would cause them to attack, which Ben was smart enough to not. And, he tackled Caleb and was like, no, stay here, after he shot Lucas Brewster. And he saw that was just a trick to get them to attack, because then they knew that it was all downhill.
Well, and I like how you said it, how it's personal for him, because it is. And unlike Hewlett, he did lose his horse, but it's not like, all these personal vendettas against people. And that does make it, it does bring out usually more violence and more emotions. And he's not that,
Did we see,
straight
speaking
and
of
narrow
that,
anyways.
did Simcoe know that Selah was there? Because we know he's been pursuing Anna some, but it's
no,
been
I
sort
don't-
of pushed to
I
the
don't-
wayside.
I don't think we do. Officially, Selah's dead. And he wasn't there at the time when Selah walked up.
Right, because Selah took those trips to the side, which
I'm
he probably didn't see.
And at the end of this episode, Simcoe was arrested. So he wasn't in the town when Selah was there, and he's currently in prison. So he probably
won't know
has
for
a lack of
while.
information. Conceivably, after this episode, if there is a season 2, someone will have told him that Selah's still alive. Or, he might just hear it from Anna himself if he gets released. But with him not having much access to information, presumably in prison, it's hard to say.
He's back to where he was from the beginning of the season, how he was just kind of incapacitated, and now he's again just...
He's incapacitated, but on his
other
own side.
by his own troops.
But they didn't kill him.
No.
I thought
Although-
maybe that was going to happen.
They might court-martial
but-
him, though,
I thought
for defying
I
orders.
thought the way they gagged him would have broken his face. That was really...
I liked that.
Yeah, that was really
nice.
insane.
Idara, what do you think? Tell us your
About
opinions on
gagging?
tell us your opinions on gagging. That's exactly what I was about to ask.
I try to stay away from gagging as much as possible.
Good to know.
Were you cheering when Simcoe got taken down,
But
or were you
yes,
like, ah?
listen, no, I have a lot of horrible feelings about
It's
Simcoe.
conflicting.
And I have to say, okay, Samuel is so sweet in person. Like, I mean, you guys got to talk to him.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's like the sweetest man. And he's really crazy talented. But Simcoe is a horrible creation of a person. And yes, I was glad to see him go. Even though I wish I could have seen him dead, because then I would know he's not coming back. And with him just going, I know he's going to find his way. He's like a cockroach.
He's going to be hanging out, staring awkwardly.
Yeah, cockroach, like, even with an atomic bomb. It's scared of
they'll be there.
Still scrambling out
They'll come.
with the weird eyes.
What is it? Cockroaches
Absolutely.
can live without their head for 14 days
They'll
because
survive the apocalypse.
the only reason they die is they're not eating.
Right. That's Simcoe.
Samuel, I still like you. Apparently no one else does.
You know what? That just means he's doing his job correctly. If
No,
we were
he's
all
brilliant.
Like,
He's brilliant.
we love to hate him.
Well, and honestly, if he was killed this episode, I would have been so mad. I would have thrown my notebook
We would
down.
have been in cahoots.
Because he's such a great foil to our heroes, just as a character.
Yeah, and we need that.
For one,
that
we
drama.
love the actor, obviously, but like without him, like to be like in it, I feel like there isn't as much of a match for Abe. Like, who is he going to go toe to toe with if Simcoe's not there?
Hewlett would have to go a little crazier. Somebody have to kill another horse, and then he'd just go like.
Hewlett's such a dainty little flower, though.
He is dainty, isn't he?
He's the
so
oyster.
dainty.
What is it? Oyster major.
Yeah. Protecting the backwater bays.
I
That's
love
right.
how Simcoe was such a good devil on his shoulder this episode. He was
Yeah,
trying
he was chiming in
to
so hard.
sway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Richard being the angel.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Simcoe
It's
being the
interesting, yeah,
devil.
because he offered the idea of unconditional release of the prisoners with no repercussions, no punishment after the shooting of Lucas Brewster. So I actually was interested that came from Richard as an idea. You know,
Well, I think, for all his faults, he still wants the best for the town, and he's smart enough to know what is and isn't going to work. And so it surprised me at first, but then I was like, no, that makes complete sense.
If anyone knows the town, it's
him.
going to be Richard.
Yeah, we saw a couple episodes ago with the tombstones. He knows how to hit this town on an emotional level.
Well, even with those at first too, he was like, "I don't want you to do it." So
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been for the town. So I don't think that was anything.
And I
too
liked that
surprising.
he turned, when he turned to Samuel, and Samuel was like, for the record, I wasn't the one who shot you. And instead of arguing, he just nodded. He's like,
He
okay,
knows.
yeah.
he knew. Yeah. As I was saying, he would have hit him where it hurt, not in
He
the
wouldn't
gut.
have missed.
Yeah, he wouldn't have missed. So, so Idara, who's your favorite character on turn?
Now, wait a minute now. I called in just a few weeks ago and got this question.
I know.
And I've answered it already, but now I'll have to answer it again.
Do it again. I know you called in. I was putting you on the spot. 'cause
I
you're
mean,
in the studio.
I know. It's like I've already done
we
my
now we can
round.
see your face.
Done my bid.
We haven't seen Philomena in a little while.
You're
so,
right.
So maybe
Philomena
this
is one that I
episode,
did love,
who
but-
impressed you the most?
I would say, honestly, okay, I'm going to do what none of my castmates have done, which is actually name someone.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say Byrne.
I thought you were going to say Abigail.
I know.
Burn
Grant
Gorman.
Gorman does a great job.
Abigail was amazing in this episode. Did you guys see her?
I did. She was great.
She was
Fantastic.
amazing, as always. No, Byrne is just, he blows me away all the time. And I just feel like what he's done with Hewlett is, I mean, honestly, after reading it on the page and seeing what he's done, it's like a world of difference, but everything makes perfect sense, and then he like brought it to life in ways that I could have never even imagined.
He is
He's like
really
a
great.
magical character on the show.
Yeah.
I feel like.
He's the show's
He's
unicorn.
amazing. Yeah, he really is. He is. And I just,
The magical unicorn.
he is.
Because he has horses.
There you go. He's already connected.
Well,
somehow.
no, he's a great character to watch, not only because he's a good actor, but because there are a lot of layers to him. You know, he's
Absolutely.
clearly on the side of the British, but he has this sense of honor, and he wants to protect the town.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's the only one that doesn't have anything, like any personal vendettas. Like, he's doing this for the crown. He's doing this because he believes in winning the town over emotionally.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder too if he doesn't know that he's getting called the Oyster Major, and then all of a sudden now we saw at the end there's reinforcements. So maybe the other reason he was trying to prove himself as well, and now it's like in all those movies where like the LAPD does it, but then the FBI shows up, and you're
And
like,
they're like,
why does the FBI have to get
Yeah.
here?
Well,
Sure.
It's like in Die Hard where you're just watching and you're like,
probably was really enjoying kind of being the king of the town.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And they actually referenced that at some point, how he's like operating like a king. And I think he does love that. I remember the first time seeing Robert Rogers show up, and he's like, oh, let me show you how we do it in this town. And Robert Rogers was like, I'm not interested.
And he's like, I rescind
well, fine,
my
I rescind
invitation.
it. Absolutely. He was quick on that. He was like, fine.
you cannot come to dinner. I will eat your slice of pie. Apple pie.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
but yeah, he's
go ahead.
amazing.
Finish
No, I
your
was just
thought.
going to say he's amazing, and he gets away with things as an actor that I'm just like, if one day I could ever learn to do those things. Like, he's just...
The throwaways.
Yes, he can just do things that you're just like, who gets away with that? And just makes it work, and is that creative, and
You
like we
gotta love-
believe it 100%.
You gotta love throwaway lines that are just like, meh, and they're like, what did you do? What?
Yeah.
Did you say that and you threw that line away? Like,
It's brilliant.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess. So that's the time we have. Unfortunately, we don't have hours and hours to talk about this episode because we could talk about this episode for like
There's
4
so
hours.
much in
There's
this
so
one.
much. So if you guys missed it, check us out on iTunes. Send us Twitter messages. We're gonna keep talking about this for the next like 8 months until season 2 comes around, of course.
We're just going
Unofficially.
to keep sending stuff to
We're just gonna
AMC.
keep bugging AMC. We're gonna call them, write them.
When's the next episode?
When's the next season coming out? So, but since we can't do predictions this week, we can talk about potential options for season 2, or we could talk about favorite characters.
I'm cool with both.
Joyce,
I'm cool with the latter,
I
especially.
want to know what you're up
to.
to during hiatus.
Yes.
Well, I'm currently shooting a TV show. I think I can share. I'm joining the cast of Brazilian Isles, which has been
We do an AfterBuzz TV Brazilian Isles podcast. You have to come back in when your episode's on.
I guess I will.
Absolutely.
But they've been wonderful so far. So I've been working with them, and I think I can share that. But yeah,
We
I'll
won't
be
tell
with
anybody.
them. I'll be with them for
Officially.
the long haul. It looks like for a while.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome.
Are you going to go back to theater anytime soon?
I don't know, but I have an itch. I do have an itch. I'm really
Don't we
dying
all?
to kind of go back and do a little something. So
Do you watch the Tonys when you get home today?
Yes, that has been DVR'd. But I'm the worst when I watch the Tony. I'm
I
gonna
have
watch
my friend
it
Jenny
alone.
Barber singing tonight. So.
See, that's what I was just gonna say. That's what I do with my friends. I'm like, oh my god, and they're like, can you please, like, we know you know everybody on that stage. But, yeah, exactly.
Do you sit there and
Kinda how
sing
it
with
is.
some of the songs too?
A little bit under my breath.
I do. It's okay. And Hugh Jackman's hosting, so I'll just be
I
like
know, which exactly.
the whole show.
Exactly. Although I liked NPH also, he was great.
Who doesn't love
I want them
Them
to do a
together
sing off
is awesome.
I
again.
know, them
That was
together would be
fantastic.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
So back to turn.
Sorry.
I
want to talk to her again.
Turn it back
You
around.
can turn around.
Every now and then.
Yeah, so favorite characters. We'd love to hear.
Joyce, since you were all about it, go right ahead.
I said I was down for both. I didn't say I'd go first.
You're going first because we're almost out of time. No pressure. Right, hit us with some
Oh
music.
my goodness, this is tough. I love Ben Talmadge. I love his character, and I also really enjoy Anna. Anna Strong.
Megan.
Well, obviously, everybody knows I love John Andre. Okay, everybody knows that that's my favorite. But I'll be honest, Simcoe somehow, I didn't think at the very beginning, but Simcoe has become one of my favorite characters, and I've liked Hewlett from the get-go as well. So I guess those would be my top 3, but it's really hard to choose because everybody is fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, every time, and each episode too. Like I find I like different ones.
For different reasons, yeah.
When we got introduced to your character, I was like, yeah, go Abigail. And John Andre, I'm like, go John Andre. Robert Rogers from the beginning, and Caleb. Out of all of them, I don't know. I guess I'm always like really excited what Simcoe will do, and I do like Philomena.
Philomena's great.
I feel like there's a lot of like association with like people you would like to be. It's like, I can see you being John Andre. I can see you being Philomena.
Just drinking my
like
sherry.
just hanging out.
I want to be Anna.
Yeah, you want to be Anna.
Totally.
Well, I mean,
She gets
obviously.
the best, like Philomena, and I think she gets like the best outfits. Well, when she's wearing
And
them,
she
She
I
gets
guess.
to
has a
dress
lot
up.
of
She gets
fun.
to, She gets to
Well,
wear
there you have it.
costumes, though.
All right, that sums up our time.
Wait, you didn't-
What about
I know.
you?
So I could go with the obvious choice of Caleb Brewster because he has a beard, but I'm not. I could go with Ben Talmadge because that's probably who I would be cast as, but I'm not. I'm going to go with the man, the myth,
yourself on
the
the back
legend, the one, the only, Ian Kahn as George Washington.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Fair
so
enough.
good.
He is. I love the presence of that
So
character
good.
when he shows up. Although John Andre is a very close second.
Oh, Nathaniel too, but they don't show him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, next season.
Stephen Root, we
fingers
still love you too. So, Idara, tell them where they can find more about you.
Oh, well, you can find out about me at my Twitter page, Idara Victor, at Idara Victor. Same with my Instagram. You can find that on there. And I have a website, idaravictor.com, that's being built, but you can go there and get a little info right now.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Well, there you have it, the commander. So, General, Kristin, tell us more.
You can find me at Kristin Carole 13, and I'll also be on the True Blood panel when that starts, and I'll be doing a few spotlight ons kind of sporadically.
Lieutenant Megan Salinas.
You can find me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I also do the Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online panels here on Sunday nights.
Captain Joyce.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Joyce Ajouri, on Instagram at IRUOJA, and I'm going to start with the Sailor Moon podcast in July.
Lucky.
Oh, man. And as always, you can find me at RyanHooks92 on the Twitter, on the Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. I'm also going to be starting a panel for BBC America's The Musketeers.
Woo!
And also, I'm going to be doing Big Brother, which is a total twist of everything that I ever do, but I'm looking forward to doing a little reality. So, special thanks to our guests, Idara Victor and Robert Beitzel, for calling in, being here, and gracing us with your amazing presence for the panel. Kristin, Megan, Joyce, I'm Ryan. We'll catch you next season.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.